Today's date is September 12th, and I'm Aubriana Daggerpont, and this is my interview. I'm here with Sergeant Bentley, and I don't know.
Right. My name is John Charles Bentley. I was in the United States Marine Corps from 1997 to 2005.
What war did you serve in?
I served in the Afghanistan conflict, Operation Enduring Freedom. I was there from 2003, September of 2003 to March of 2005.
What were you doing before the war?
Well, before the war, I'd worked as auto parts sales, and I was already in the Marine Corps Reserves, and I had just started with DPS Police whenever we got deployed.
How did you get involved in the war?
I was already in the Marine Corps, so whenever we entered the conflict, our turn came up and we got deployed.
What did you do in the war?
Okay, I was with the United States Marine Corps Light Attack Helicopter Squadron 773. We flew the AH-1 Cobra and the UH-1 Huey attack helicopters. I flew a handful of sorties as a gunner on a UH-1. Most of the time, I was in the operations section. While we were deployed, I was the detachment operations chief.
What rank did you serve?
My rank when I got out and when we started was corporal.
Where did the war take place?
Where?
Yeah, where?
Afghanistan. We were deployed in eastern Afghanistan on the Pakistan border. The main section of the squadron was at Bagram Air Base, north of Kabul, Afghanistan, and our detachment was at Forward Operating Base Salerno in the city of Kaust, Afghanistan.
How old were you at the time of the war?
I was 23 when I got deployed.
Did you have any friends or relatives that served in the war?
I did. My first cousin, Chance Vaughn, was in the U.S. Army, and we actually crossed paths twice while I was in Afghanistan.
Did you have contact with your family during the war?
Yes, communications were very good. We had a field telephone that was easily accessible. The only issues we had were when we called during the day, it was the middle of the night in the United States. So I was calling my parents and my brother at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Did you do anything special for good luck?
The only thing I did for good luck was we made sure all our equipment was in top shape.
Did your perspective on the war change throughout the war?
It did, actually. After we went with September 11th fresh on our minds, and when we got there, everybody had a somewhat aggressive mindset. After we'd been there for a while, you see beyond what's reported on the news, and you see what's actually happening in the country. And we were still, the cause was still valid for us, but the particulars changed. The Afghani people were not interested in the conflict. All the people we fought were outside forces. The Taliban was made up primarily of Pakistanis, Saudis, no Afghanis, Chechens, people from outside coming in, and that influenced our attitudes on that.
What did you think of your fellow soldiers or officers?
In a helicopter squadron, the officers are the ones that generally fly out. They're the pilots. Mm-hmm. They fly out. They're the ones that get put in harm's way most of the time. our officers, our command staff was excellent. Very down to earth. There was never that separation of officers and enlisted. We interacted with them. We'd go play volleyball with them, and they'd mix with the troops. There were no conflicts of any kind between us.
Do you have any pictures?
I do. I have a lot of pictures. I have some of them here on my phone if you'd like to look at them afterwards.
Did you keep a journal or a diary during the war?
I did not. I had a book that I kept all my notes in, but when we left the country, that book was basically classified material, so I had to dispose of it. We had to burn it.
Mm-hmm. Were you awarded any medals?
I was. I received the Navy Commendation Medal for basically running operations where we were.
How did your service in the war affect your life?
It gave me a new outlook on information that people get. I used to watch the news and I would think, okay, that happened. Now when I watch the news and when they say something on the news, I go check other places to compare what they said to what they said, or look at other sources, because they're not telling the absolute correct story. We were the subject of that several times.
Does the results of the war have an effect on today's world?
It has a continuing effect. Where the conflict we were involved in was the pursuit of the Taliban and Osama bin Laden after 1911, or after 9/11. The result of that is that Afghanistan had their first free elections ever while we were over there. That continued for a while. From what I understand, the state of the country is declining again. But it brought a lot of people together, and at least for a time, and it was considered somewhat of a victory.
Is there anything else you would like to discuss that we haven't discussed yet?
Not particularly. There's not really anything more that needs to be said. I was not a frontline Marine. We did go out as security for convoys on the ground. I've been from Bagram Air Base to Kabul to the U.S. Embassy 2 or 3 times, just as security. I didn't have any real purpose to go. They were just saying, "Hey, we need some people." Yeah, I'll go. I have a handful of flights as a gunner, but there were few, if any, occasions where I was in danger versus what the guys on the ground had to go through. I was not infantry. The closest we ever came to being in real horrible danger was when we were under mortar or rocket attack. And that was just stuff coming in out of the dark. That's the only other thing I have.